And hello there, Dental Nachos Nation. Terry Brock here, and I am so excited to be with you today. We've got a real special program coming up about how to deal with the technology and being obsolete. And you know the frustration when you learn something and then all of a sudden, poof, it's obsolete and they've got a new thingamabob out there and all that. Well, we're going to deal with that here at Dental Nachos because we talk about ways to make your life better as a dentisting human being, as Dr. Paul Goodman talks about, dentisting human being. And we're going to just have some fun today. I've really been looking forward to this because I'm here in a different location, by the way. This is first for us, I think, with Talking Tech Tips with Terry Tuesday at 2. We're in a different location here for Dental Nachos, of course, and we're here in Atlanta, Georgia area. Yep, right here in the Atlanta, Georgia area, just outside of that, and doing some work here with a nice thing about what we can do today as digital nomads and moving around. We can be most anywhere. And so Gina and I had some opportunities here. We wanted to give some help to her mother and to family, getting some moves done and some construction and things like that. So we're in the process of doing that. And I thought, well, we'll just come up here and we can do our dental nachos and have a great time no matter what. But today I want to give you some really good ideas and that are going to help you. And by the way, if you have questions or you got comments as we go along, by all means, just drop those in there and we can take a look at it and see what you're talking about and the kind of comments that you would have, because we're using a program right now called Restream. It gives us the ability to go live into several different platforms at the same time. I really like Restream because Restream gives you the ability to go to Facebook and a couple of different groups. We can also go to YouTube. We can go to LinkedIn. We can go to Twitter, all at the same time. And that's kind of nice. And so what you want to do is be able to adapt. And that relates to what we're talking about today. The ability for you to be able to adapt and to adjust and keep things moving in the right direction so that you'll be able to, well, adjust when you need to, because that's what we're doing here, Talking Tech Tips with Terry, Tuesday at 2. By the way, you like a little scroll? The nerd in me's got to do this stuff. So and I'm using Ecamm for this, using Ecamm, sending it over to Restream. So we get that out there and it works out really, really well. I like it. But me being the nerd that I am, I just like to do those kind of things, put them in there, and make sure that you're seeing all kinds of good stuff as we move forward. But I do want to show you some things that are important. I've got a program that's coming up tomorrow I'm doing for a client, and I wanted to share some of that information with you so you'll be able to tap into it as well about the importance of changing and the importance of learning. I start with a quote here that I like to use. This is a quote from John Wooden when he said, "Do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do." And I like that. I think that's a really good idea. What you can do, you get out there, we're so focused sometimes with technology on the things that we can't do. Oh, I can't do that. I can't do this. Well, focus on what you can do. And I'm going to modify that a little bit. I love John Wood and stuff, and I'm going to build on top of what he says and put in there another little phrase that will be very similar, but I'm going to build on top of it. And that is, slight revision here, do not let what you cannot do interfere with what you can do or could do with the right education. And that's from me. So think about your scope and what you can do and how you can do so many different things. What you want to do is focus on not only what you can do, but maybe if you push yourself just a little bit, you get a little extra training, take an extra course, get some extra instruction, maybe you could do that too. And that's where, by the way, our Dental Nachos Supreme comes in. We're really excited about that. With the Supreme, it gives you the ability to access just a bazillion hours. I think that's the number, bazillion. There's hundreds of hours of video training and all kinds of resources to help you learn on that. So I think that's a really good idea, something that we need to do because you and I both know as professionals the importance of continuous learning and adapting. And I'm going to beam over here to this, but you see, as we get into continuous learning and adapting, doing this kind of training is critical. We've been to these classes where the instructor is there giving instructions. We need that. And we're getting back more into the in-person meeting. Even with COVID now, it's good that we're finally doing it in a safe way, in the right way, and moving forward on that. And here's something that I want to make available to you. It's something that can help you. I know many dentists today are creating content. They're creating content and sending it out as they should. If you're a dentisting human being, sending out content and helping people to grow and learn, that's a very, very good thing to do. And that's why I put together a special course that is available to you, and it's free also. This one shows you specifically how to create content. I call it my 5K program. It's about create compelling, quality content quickly. Get it? Get wink, wink. 5K. You get it? Okay. Well, anyway, what you're going to get is you're going to be able to do that in the 5K program. And it's like how to get ideas in publishing and analysis. If you're sitting around going, what should I publish about? What should I do? Well, here's a good way to do it. And also specific tools that you can use. Some of the tools that we're using here at Dental Nachos, I talk about in there. And that's available to you for free. There's videos with it. There's a program there. You do not owe any money for that. Just we wanted to help you out on that. And you go to terrybrock.com, 5K. And by the way, notice this is important. Write it down. Lowercase k. Lowercase k is what you need on that one. And it'll help you on that. And you're going to get a lot of ideas that you can use that are really good, creative ideas that will help you. But one of the things we can do, and what I want to do this time, is go back and look at history. Sometimes we learn a whole lot from when we see what they did before, how they overcame challenges and problems, and what we can do now and into the future. And I want you to think about adapting when we have to do that, because there was something that happened back in the 1850s. There was a problem. What they had is they had a country that was largely populated mostly in the east, a little bit there in the Midwest that we'd see that, and it was something that was okay, not too bad. But what they had to do is, look at this, if they had to go from, say, Boston, here, let me get it right here, over to, like, say, Boston or Philadelphia, and they needed to get over to this newfound thing called San Francisco. Well, what they had to do, hop in a boat, their ships, and they would come down here along the east or the eastern Atlantic coast, there past Florida. Florida wasn't a state then, and then all the way down to South America. There was no Panama Canal, and they had to go all the way around it, come over here to this side, and then come slowly back up here if they want to get up to San Francisco. And that was a long trip. The trip itself would take maybe 1 month at the fastest. 2 to 3 months was normal, depending on weather, depending on mutinies, depending on damage and all that kind of thing. Shipwrecks and stuff. It took a while. And it was a real problem to get information out to that newfangled place out there called California. Out there on the far west. A lot of the folks were going out there and hanging around, and they were out there to see it. And when they needed to get communication back and forth, well, that made it particularly difficult. So they started putting their heads on and thinking about it. This is what we want to do. You want to start thinking when you got a problem, okay, what can we do creatively to get around that? Start looking at options. What can we do? It's, again, about a 3-month drive from the East Coast, say Boston, Philadelphia, all the way down around South America, and then come back up. Panama Canal, again, did not come about then. It didn't come about until the early 20th century. And so what they did is they came up with an idea that they might try something that's a little different, that they would have this thing called the Pony Express. Yeah, and what they did is they'd started over here in St. Joe, Missouri, because that's where they had the telephone, or telegraph lines, I should say, telegraph lines there, and they would take that and they would let folks get on a horse and come up over there, bouncing over the Rocky Mountains and all the way across the desert and stuff, and finally end up over here in San Francisco. And they would save a whole lot of time on it. Matter of fact, here was an ad that they had. You'll see that it shows they did this in 10 days to San Francisco. Well, now you and I look at it and go, wow, 10 days, that's a long time. Yeah, but hey, it's all relative. You're talking 3 months versus 10 days. That is a dramatic improvement in technology. Dramatic improvement, and they did that in a big way. And here's what they did. They put out a little advertisement like this. Get this. This is kind of fun as we read it today in the 21st century. Wanted, young, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18, must be expert riders, willing to risk death daily. Oh my goodness. Gee, they must have been known about dentists then, right? But really, that was quite an undertaking. Oh, and they also said here, orphans preferred. Uh-oh. I wonder why they wanted the orphans preferred. No sad moms and dads, things like that. And wages, $25 per week. So they gave them enough of a salary that it was pretty good. And so it was appealing to those wiry young fellows, and they were able to get out there and start going for it. And I think, hey, that's the real key. That's what we want to do. We want to be able to take a look at that and see what it's like. And so I think that's really nice. By the way, we're getting a hi from Bob Pig. Hi, Bob. Hope you're doing well there today over in Chicagoland. Nice to see you. The day I stop continuous learning is the day I'm done. Hey, I'm going to high five you across the miles from here in Atlanta up there to Chicago, Bob, to you. We're going to keep learning all the time. That is really important. And also we've got Yada Kirez, you have to excuse me for mispronouncing that. Thank you for sharing your tips. I like the 5K solution. Yes, indeed. Let me know what you think as you get into that and see it. And we got some comments here from Candy Campbell, who's a DNP, RN, CNL, CEP, FNAP. Candace, that is amazing. Thanks, Harry. You bet. Thank you for all that you've done on that. That's inspiring just to continue learning and to keep going with that. I think it's something that we all want to keep doing and keep learning. And that's what they did back here. And they came up with this solution for the Pony Express. The young, skinny, wiry fellows, not over 18, etc. And they look something like this. This is actually one of those young men. This guy was a young, skinny, wiry fellow. I'm assuming he's not over 18, and he would hop on that pony, that horse, right out there carrying the mail. And that solved the problem. It did really, really well for them for quite a while. And when you look at the Pony Express, the few things that we need to know about that as we look at it. First of all, like I was mentioning before, it's 10 days from St. Joe, Missouri to San Francisco. And so they go from 10 days. That was amazing to do that. And they changed riders along the way. Hey, that's a clever idea. Good way to do it so that you'd ride a rider for a little ways. And before obviously one couldn't ride straight for 10 days, but they had it carefully calculated, engineered in their brain what to do, how fast they would go to the next station, drop off the mail to the next person, and then they just go on, kind of like on a relay race. They just kept doing that over and over, and that was a big, big feature for it. But here's the real shocker. Most people do not know this. Do you know that the Pony Express only lasted from April 3rd, 1860 to October 24th, 1861? That's it. That's it. Not very long, just a little over 18 months there in that. And you think about it, that was a major reason. But you think, wow, look at the people that had invested their time, their money, their energy, those young, skinny, wiry fellows learning how to do the Pony Express, ride real fast, do it. They had a special skill. Well, they adapted and they changed. By the way, I want you to let me know, what do you think was the technology that displaced that? Think about it. Matter of fact, if you're watching this now, drop that into the chat. Let me know, what was the technology in 1861 that replaced the Pony Express, really put it out of business, put it completely out of business. And what was the effect going on then? Well, what was happening then? 1861, October, hey, they had just started a little skirmish called the Civil War, or as we like to say, the war between the states. Actually, it wasn't a civil war. How can a war be civil? I don't know. It's not. It's uncivil, actually. And also, it's not like the South was fighting for control of the government. That's a big difference on there in what it is. But that's very important. A railroad. Well, now railroad was a big factor then, but actually it was not, although they used it extensively. And they used that in the Civil War quite a bit for that, Candy. But they actually had another technology. You're going to think of this when you hear what it is. It was a thing called, it was replaced by, guess what? The telegraph. That's right. The telegraph came in because you think about it, they could put it on there and go beep, 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 or whatever they did with Morse code and send that out there all the way through, so that what would happen is they would then be able to take that information and be able to get it out there very, very rapidly and be able to say, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get it out there fast. And so what they did is they adapted. And that is the key lesson for us. They adapted. They learned Morse code. Now, Morse code came out with the telegraph in 1853, so it was several years before, almost 10 years before that. Actually, 8 years or so. But the telegraph hadn't been built out there yet. So the Pony Express came in and did it that way. And so what they did is they adjusted, they adapted, and they were able to do it that way. Telegraph in Europe happened in the 1850s. That's exactly right, 1850s. 1853 is when it was developed by Samuel Morse, and then they had that code. But think about it for a moment. They had to learn Morse code. I do not know Morse code. I do know one, though. Hey, tell me, what am I saying here when I'm doing this? Beep, 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 beep. Okay, it's like that. Well, I knew that one was SOS. Save our ships. The beep, beep, beep is the beep, beep, beep is the long, or no, I say the S is I think the three short ones. If anyone knows that, let me know. Or if you're watching this later, please leave that in there. We'll be watching the record. If you're watching the recording of this, let us know. But you see, they learned the telegraph. They adapted. Even though they were making good money, they were doing it there. They adapted and shifted. But then you know what happened again? Technology came along and replaced the telegraph. So here people had mastered that. And a newfangled thing came along. And that newfangled thing that came along was the telephone. That's right. Alexander Graham Bell came up with that thing. Watson, can you hear me now? Can you hear me? Watson. And he did that, and the telephone took off. You didn't have to learn a whole lot of code. You did have to learn some things with it because it in the early stages was kind of tough. And that was there. And then the telephone started changing too, because as people learned that, what they did is they brought in others who were able to start making more connections. And they had people who were trained specifically to do that. The operators who operated there at the telephone companies. And this one is very important to me, very personal, because my mother did that. When she was largely a stay-at-home mom, but from time to time she would work to pay some bills, and she would do that. And they'd take out somebody wanted to call, say New York. They'd pull out this and plug it into New York, and then that would connect them through. Another person wanted to call to Detroit. Okay, pull it out and click it through to Detroit that way. And they had to physically move these wires around, and these ladies here would do that very well, and they learned that skill. But then, guess what happened again? It improved, the technology changed, and eventually we moved up to where we are today. Yes, indeed. They moved it up here, and we've got the telephone here, obviously more than just a phone. We're using them for many things. The whole point is it just keeps changing. And matter of fact, here, I'll just move over here like this, and you see, I'm just beside myself on that one. Yeah, I know. Work with me. Come on. I'm trying real hard. I'm on that. But you see, the point is the technology does keep changing. Those who succeed are not the ones who say, oh, gee, I want to go back to the way it was, thinking and have blurry eyes and misty memories of this is what was like back then at this one time. Well, it probably wasn't that good even then. What you've got to do is we've got to adapt, adjust, and keep changing. That is the key, because as we see, what we've got to do is take what we've got right where we are and then make those adaptations. I think that the 26th president of the United States, Teddy Roosevelt, said that really well when he said, take what you got, do what you can with what you've got right where you are. And I think that's good words of advice for us from the 26th president of the United States, Teddy Roosevelt. Now, I did not vote for him. I'll have you know that. I was more of a Parker guy in 1904, but that's a whole different story. But Teddy Roosevelt said that, and I think that's a brilliant statement. And so on behalf of Dental Nachos, we want you to think about that, of how you keep adapting, but you want to get the right resources around you. Get the resources that can help you to learn this. And that's what we do at Dental Nachos. We're giving you the resources, giving you the help and the assistance to make sure that it's working for you, and you're going to be able to get the kind of things you want. And we're doing that through, notice my shirt here, the Dental Nachos Supreme. There's been a lot of really good information packed into that. And the Dental Nachos Supreme gives you the ability to get, well, just a whole lot of good stuff done that you can use. And so here's what you can do. Be sure and text Supreme to this number, 215-543-6454. Then you'll get a bunch of information on how you can use it to get CE credit. You're going to learn practical management skills for your practice, clinical skills that'll be there, and human relation, how to communicate with patients, how to communicate with office. A lot of good information there. So what we're doing here at Dental Nachos is we want to continue to pack a lot of good ideas, good information in there to help you to get ahead and to do what you need to do. Well, on behalf of the entire Dental Nachos team, I want to thank you for joining me today. Think about how you can adapt to technology, much like our ancestors did. In the Pony Express, and then the telephone took over, or the telegraph, and then the telegraph replaced by the telephone, and the telephone kept changing and changing, and guess what? Whatever technology we're using right now, it's going to change. We're going to see it adapt, and we're going to see it continue to change. Learn how to learn fast. Learn how to grasp important information, determining what is important, and do that rapidly. And as you do that, you will succeed in this life. We look forward to hearing from you here at Dental Nachos. I'm Terry Brock. Thank you.